Hello again. This is Keosha Davis, aka Miss Kitty. How you doing today? So today we're gonna continue with overcoming rejection, of course, and we're gonna deal with the topic starting off with rejection after birth. Now, like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or anything like that. I'm just a person who uh, feel led to talk to you all about rejection and how to start the search and how to start dealing with rejection in your life. And if you watch any of my other videos uh, previously before this one, you'll understand and see we're dealing with especially rejection in the womb and rejection as a kid. And the reason why it seems like I'm talking about rejection as a baby or a kid and things like that, because that's where rejection a lot of times mostly began. Now, you can be rejected later on in life, and it does mess with you, or it does play a key role, and you continually to be rejected. But most rejection comes in when you are a child or in your mother's womb or different situations like that. Okay? So, and the reason why uh, I'm doing this is for you to find yourself. So, examine yourself. Don't be in denial. Just examine yourself. If one topic I talk about don't touch you, look at the next topic and keep going on until you find yourself. Because I guarantee you'll find yourself in at least one of these topics, that's something in your life that you need to deal with so that you can so you can overcome it and be an overcomer. Okay? And the first step to being an overcomer, and for people that go to church, the first step to being delivered or healed is to first identify that there's a problem. To first identify what that root is. You're going to get down to the root. That's how you deal with problems and issues. You get down to the root. Root means the beginning. How do you uproot a tree, or how you deal with a tree? You uproot it. You pull it from the roots. If you don't pull that tree up from the roots and you just cut off the branch, guess what? That tree will continue to be dead or continue to produce bad fruit. But if you take that tree from the root of it, where its roots is in the ground, and you pull it all the way up, that's how you get rid of that whole thing, which is a type of deliverance or a first step to dealing with it so that you can be healed. The healing part about it is that we place new dirt in the ground, new seed in the ground, so that it can produce a brand new tree with brand new fruit that is productive. Okay? So my goal is for everyone, even myself, to find yourself in this. I have, and I'm still finding myself in this, and still on my journey of overcoming all the rejection in my life. And so we can do this together, whether you go to church or whether you don't go to church. That does not mean that you can't start somewhere, because these things in our life hold us back, and it's time. It is time for us as a people to stop letting things of our past, our hurt and pain of our past, dictate and determine our present and our future. So we want to deal with these things from the past so that it can no longer mess up our present or mess up or hinder the blessings or the things that wants to come for our future. So we're going to start tonight with rejection after birth. And so a child may be very much wanted until he is born. As can happen, parents may desire a boy and have a girl. Or they may desire a girl and then instead have a boy. So, nevertheless, no matter how strong the personal preference may be, it is foolish to reject a child for something that was predetermined by, for some people who believe in God, is predetermined by God. For those of you who don't believe in God, is predetermined by science, by your body, by your chromosomes. Okay? And for which the child has no power to change. All right. So this means that once the child is born, it is not up to the child to choose its sex. That just does not happen. Regardless, I know for some people may not like this, but the truth is the truth. You cannot, when you are born what you are born. Okay? Unless you have some kind of defects. I know say people, what about hermaphrodites and things like that? Even with hermaphrodites, certain things are more pronounced than others. So that's between the doctor and the parents, and they choose however they choose which gender is more pronounced. Okay? So I'm not going to dive no further into that one. However, but for on the normal basis, you are what you are. However you come out, that's what you are. Okay? So I went through a small portion of this, I guess, when I had my third child. And so I thought it was a girl. Oh, I thought the child was a girl. You know how they do the old wives say, oh, if you carrying it low, or if you carrying it high, or if you scratch this side of your ear, if you scratch that side, if you wink this way, or if you wink that way, if all these days, it's a girl or it's a boy. You know how that goes. And then we psych ourselves up and we think, oh my God, it really, because I carrying this one different, and I'm carrying it. And I don't have more sickness with this one, but I had it with that one. No, I was sick as a dog with this one. I was sick as a dog with my first one. My second one, I was not sick as a dog at all. Matter of fact, I craved chocolate chip cookies. And he looked like a chocolate chip cookie. But, needless to say, all three of them were boys. Okay? My first three were boys. And I carried them differently. But they were still all three boys. So, when I found out that I was having a boy, and I had my heart set, oh, it's a girl. Oh, it's a girl. I cried. There I go again. I cried. I was a little upset. I was hurt. Because I thought it was a girl, but it was a boy. And I didn't mean no harm. I just believed carrying the baby how low or whatever. And I had my heart set on something. Not knowing that I could have opened the door to rejection in my child. Okay? And sometimes us parents do that because of lack of understanding. We understand how chromosomes form if you know science and giving birth and things like that. And we also know if for people who believe in God, which I do, I believe in Jesus Christ, that a child is chosen upon what is needed or what needs to happen. So sometimes if a child feels this rejection of not being the sex that the parents prefer, okay, some children will try to gain acceptance through performing like a child of the opposite sex. We see that sometimes with children, especially girls, who their parents may want a boy, or they're more geared. They feel like they can handle a boy better if they end up having a girl, and so sometimes that girl she becomes a tomboy. Now this is just certain situations. The girl becomes a tomboy at times. Now I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the tomboy. No, because I'm one. I was one, and I'm in some areas I'm still one. However, but they will seek out to be the opposite sex. and but it doesn't turn out to be just being a tomboy. It turns into the fact that they want acceptance. They want to try to gain acceptance, or they want to try to please the people that they felt, the rejection. And they don't know. Kids don't know off top that, oh, they're rejecting me, they want me to be something else. No, it's something like a knowing. It's something that happens on the inside, and they quite don't understand it, and they quite can't identify. But it is something that happened. And if you take the time to look at situations around you, I'm sure you'll see it. Where you didn't pay attention to it before, but you might see it even now. Okay? If a child is rejected because of gender, they may come to hate and reject their true self. That happens. You see a lot of people that dealing with identity crisis. Sometimes they begin to hate their true self because of rejection from being one sex, and their parent or somebody else kind of treated them or showed them inadvertently that to be the opposite sex. They don't come out and say, I want you to be an opposite. Sometimes some parents do, or some people do. But sometimes we do it and don't realize we're doing it. And so children internalize that. Okay? And we don't mean to, but it happens. So if that's you, or if you know someone, then you know what I'm talking about. A child born with physical problems. Okay? So, what happens with children, a baby may be rejected at birth because he is born with a mishap of physical features or outright deformities. Okay? Some babies born with certain birthmarks, cleft palates, different things like that. I know someone who had a deformity, and they were loved by their parents, but they still felt rejected from society, if you want to say, or they felt a little bit of rejection, and their siblings didn't reject them, but they still felt that rejection because they had a deformity. So they would often try to please. Take that back. They will often try to prove themselves. That's what I want to say. They will often try to prove themselves. So they would get into fights all the time, or they would try to be the best at that, or try to be the best at that, because they were trying to prove themselves to counteract or overcome, or I can't think of the word, but they would just do this for people not to pay attention to the deformity that they had, to basically prove to them, I'm still normal, I still can do this. But it leads them down the road of rejection, and so they're constantly trying to prove themselves. And then sometimes when you get in the mode of not sometimes, all the time, when you get in the mode of trying to prove yourself, it takes you down the wrong path, and that also leads to self-hatred as well. So you want to make sure that you deal with that. If you're dealing with that, identify that and start loving yourself, and understand that you're beautifully and wonderfully made. All of us have different things going on with us, but the thing is that we're still beautiful. We're still beautiful people, and you have to understand that you are loved and you're still beautiful. Okay? Inside and out. But you have to realize that, and you have to love yourself. Okay? So then you have a child as a victim of circumstance. Okay? I mentioned earlier in a video why it is important for a baby to touch the mother when the baby comes out. They call it skin to skin. Okay? Studies indicate that children who receive touching love from the moment of birth develop more stable personalities than those who are separated from the parents at this strategic time. So I talked about earlier in some earlier videos that my doctor with my last child wanted me to do skin to skin and put the baby on my chest. And at first I used to do that. I was like, oh, clean the baby up for a minute. But I did obey what my doctor said at this point, and I'm glad I did. And one thing that did happen with all of my children is that, of course, my husband was there with all of my births, thank God. But he bonded with every last one of every last one of our children that we had. So as soon as I bonded with the babies, my husband did as well. And see, those things are important when those children come out of the womb. And like I said, the reason why we're dealing with this is because these are just these little things. We may not think that they're important, and we may not think that they matter that much, but they really do matter. They matter more than you think. Okay? And so we're identifying these things so that way we don't make this mistake again. So if you know what to do now, then you're able to do better. But how do you do better if you don't know to do better? Okay? So, like I said, I mentioned that before, but it's like I said, it's also important for fathers to bond with the baby fresh out of the womb. Okay? Touching love help babies feel secure. All right? And it helps babies feel safe. Rejection can enter a child who is left with others too long. Okay, so while parents are at work, now I'm gonna say this: single parents and parents who work 2 to 3 jobs, you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, you do what you have to do to put food on the table. You do what you have to do to bring money in the house so your kids is taken care of, so your family is taken care of, so your husbands and wives is taken care of. You gotta do that. All right, but there are times when kids get left at daycares and or relatives or other people's houses so long because you gotta work, you gotta do what you gotta do, and so because of that, rejection can set in. It happens inadvertently. Like I said, a parent don't mean to. They work and they gotta do what they gotta do. Like my mother, my mama was a single parent, and my mama, she went to school and she worked. She worked full time and she went to school full time. So sometimes I would see her in the morning, but I didn't see her at night because I stayed with my aunt. While she was at school and while she was at work. So that happens. That don't mean my mama didn't love me. My mama was doing what she had to do to take care of me. But children don't understand that. So because they can't comprehend that and understand that like that, rejection can set in, or abandonment. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But to counteract that, parents, make sure you do what you can do. Make sure you spend quality time with your children. Not time, focus on quantity, but more so quality. Okay? When you can, take out that time. Because I know parents are busy. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially in this pandemic. People trying to, going through a lot. But take that time. If you can, take that time to spend time with your children, quality time. Like me, I spend time like my oldest daughter. She likes to play Scrabble. So I sit there, sometimes even while I'm cooking, we'll sit there, we'll play. I ask her, hey, what you want to do? You want to play a game? What you want to do? I try to do something that she wants to do, and so she'll want to play Scrabble. So I play Scrabble with her. My other kids, they like to play Mario Brothers, or they like to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. So I'll play that with them, or my husband will play that with them. We try to do something with them that they want to do, not necessarily what we want to do. Okay? And sometimes, if I want to play Mario Brothers, I'm like, hey, who want to play Mario Brothers with me? They're like, I do. So we do that together. Like I said, my mom was a single parent. What my mom did was, her quality time with me was, she would take me skating on every Monday night. That was our time to spend with each other. That was my time to have fun. So I would, during the week, a lot of times she would be working and going to school. But Monday nights was our time. And we skating started at 7, then end till 11, and I on a school night. But that was our time, and that's she and I thank God that she did that. So she spent that quality time what she could, and there are times when she was like, "Hey, baby, let's go," and we get in the car and we just drive and go visit one of our family friends or my godmother, and drive 2 hours and just go. That was our time. So I'm grateful to God about that. But if you can, spend quality time with your kids. If you have children, if you have uh, people that you take care of or that you're in their life and they're not your kids, try to spend quality time with them if you can. Okay. Um, like I said, parenting is a full job. So if you're a parent, parenting is a full job. But it's important for families to be full of love and strong together. Families need to be strong together. That is very important. Okay? Very important. All right. So the next topic is we're going to deal with is children given up for adoption. All right. Some children are loved from their adoptive parents and some are not. That happens. Uh, and because people come from different walks of life. Some people say, "Oh, I love children fostering kids," but no, sometimes they don't have the heart for it, and they do it anyway to collect a check or anything like that. There's a whole lot of reasons. However, because a child goes to be adopted doesn't mean all the time that they get the love that they need. Sometimes they do get the love that they need, but they have a hard time reciprocating that love because of uh, the rejection that they've incurred from their biological parents or abandonment. Okay? So children can feel abandoned even if their biological parents are in the home. I've seen an example of this. You have parents that are in the home and they're there, but they're not there. Does that make sense? So they're there, they work a whole bunch of hours, or they constantly even do what they want to do, but they're not there to actually parent. They're not there to actually spend time, quality time with the children. They're not there to actually sit down and have conversation. If they do have a conversation, it's always what the adult wants to talk about. It's always giving direction or orders, but not actually sitting down and have thought-provoking conversations and want to find out what's going on with the child or anything like that. When parents do that, or people who are over children do that, that opens the door to abandonment. So you may think as a parent or the adult and say, "Well, I was there," but technically speaking, you were there in person, but you weren't there. Support wise, you weren't there. And so support wise, you're not being there. Guess what? Rejection central. Because that child now feels that they don't have the love and support that they need. So simple, so small, but can turn to something big and major down the road. Okay? Like I said, children can, I already talked about that. It's like like I said, it's like they're there, but they're not there. You're not active. Okay? You must be active in your child's life, or the child that you're keeping or you're taking care of. You must be active in their life. Here's another one. Children who are spoiled. And I'm going to say spoiled. What I mean by this is, okay, you can have a 2-parent home or a 1-parent home. All right? And you see children, or you could be that child that received a whole lot of toys and you got everything that you wanted. Or you could have been outside looking in. You had a friend or somebody you knew who got a whole lot of toys and you thought that their parents loved them. That's not always the case. Sometimes they received all those toys because their parents or whoever was taking care of them didn't want to be bothered. That's still abandonment. So they'll give them these toys. They'll give them this stuff to keep them occupied so they don't have to deal with them. That's abandonment. That's rejection. Okay? So the grass is not always greener on the other side. If you look at children, some children who are overweight, their parents will, instead of giving them toys, they'll give them food. So they'll kind of, Mama, I want this. I want this chips. I want this ice cream. I want this. I want, Mama, please, please, please. I want. And so some parents, they'll give in and just give it to them. Here you go, to get them out their face. Here, take this, give out their face. So that child is eating and eating, or that child is gorging on stuff and just keep going and keep going. But really, that child wants your attention. They want you to tell them no. They want you to pay attention. But sometimes us parents are in our own stuff, or our own rejection, or our own issues, that we don't stop enough to pay attention to the children of what's going on. So maybe you're in a parent's role and you're doing this. Now you know what you're doing and you can change it. Or you were that child that this happened to a long time ago. So you know where some of your rejection has come from. So now you know what it is. You can identify it so you don't repeat it, as well as you deal with it and try to get rid of that rejection to understand what was going on. And forgive. That is very important. Forgive. Okay? So especially if you're a child in this and your parents did this, or whoever took care of you, forgive them. That don't mean you forget. I'm not saying that you forget. What I'm saying is you forgive them so that you can be free and you don't hold on to any grudges or hold on to anything, so you can move on with your life. Not forgetting means that you don't walk in that same trap again. Okay? Because some people say they sorry and things like that, but some of them are not really serious. And you don't want to continue to walk in that trap that you just came out of. Okay? So, I'm going to stop there. And next week, we are going to talk about orphaned children. So that's what we're going to deal with, is orphaned children. So I hope you have a great night. God bless you. I love you. And may the Lord keep you. Mwah!